Today we're going through a quick guide on how to play Star Wars Unlimited. First, get a starter kit. This is the quickest way to start playing. Today, I'll be using the starter from the second set, Shadows of the Galaxy. One player will play the Mandalorian and the other Moff Gideon. Begin setup by putting your base in the center of the table opposite your opponent. Then, place your leader card beneath your base with the horizontal side facing up. The goal of this game is to destroy your opponent's base before they get yours. Next, randomly choose who will start the game with the initiative and give that player the initiative counter. Then, both players shuffle their deck and draw 6 cards. If you don't like your hand, you are allowed one mulligan, where you can shuffle your entire hand back into your deck and draw a new hand of 6 cards. For your first game, don't worry about having the perfect starting hand. As long as you have some low-cost cards to play, look for the numbers 2 or 3 in the top left corner, you're good to go. After that, you both choose 2 cards from your hand to place face down as resources. You will spend these resources to play cards throughout the game. Once you set a card down as a resource, it will stay a resource for the rest of the game. So if you drew your favorite card in the deck, don't put it down as the resource because you're not getting it back. Once you and your opponent are ready, the game starts with the first action phase. In the action phase, players go back and forth taking one action at a time. The player with the initiative counter goes first. You will take actions back and forth until both players have passed. There are 5 actions you can take. Play a card, attack with a unit, use an action ability, take the initiative, or pass. To play a card, exhaust, meaning turn sideways, the number of resources equal to the cost of the card you want to play. The cost is found in the top left corner of each card. Once exhausted, you can't use a resource again until it is readied, turned back upright. When you play a unit, it comes into play exhausted, remember sideways. Play your ground units on one side of the table in the ground arena and your space units in the space arena. It does not matter which side of your play area is the space or ground arenas, but keep it the same for the rest of the game after you've played your first unit on the board. Just like your resources, you won't be able to use these units until they are readied. After you play a unit, immediately resolve all when played abilities it has. For example, after you play Grief Karga, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an upgrade, reveal it, and draw it. Speaking of upgrades, when you play an upgrade, attach it to a unit by placing it beneath that unit. Upgrades often provide a boost to a unit's power and HP, the red and blue numbers on the unit card, and sometimes have additional effects. For example, Snapshot Reflexes gives +1 power and +1 HP to any unit it is attached to. But it also has a when played effect, you may attack with the attached unit. Before we discuss attacking, the third type of card you can play is an event. Resolve the effect of the event immediately when you play it, and then discard the card. The second action option is to attack with the unit. To attack with the unit, exhaust a ready unit you control and choose something to attack. You can attack either an enemy unit in the same arena, remember ground or space, or your opponent's base. Your units cannot attack units in the other arena. If you attack the base, deal damage equal to the attacking unit's power, again the red number on the card, to that base. Remember, the first player to destroy their opponent's base wins. In the starter kit, both players' bases begin with 30 life. Deal 30 damage to their base, and you win the game. When you choose to attack an enemy unit, both the attacking unit and the defender simultaneously deal damage to each other equal to their respective power. This means that if a Hawk 290 freighter attacks an Outland TIE Vanguard, both ships will deal 2 damage to each other at the same time. The freighter has 5 HP, the blue number on the card, so it would have 3 HP remaining after taking 2 damage and would still be in play. However, the TIE Vanguard only has 1 HP and would be defeated after the ships damage each other. Damage on the freighter is then represented by damage counters that are placed on the card. When a unit is defeated, move it and any upgrades attached to it to their owner's discard piles. Note, if a unit has an on-attack ability, it triggers before any damage is dealt during the attack. Normally, a unit can't attack on the same turn that it enters play, since it comes into play exhausted. But if a unit has the ambush ability, such as Fennec Shand, then it can attack an enemy unit immediately after being played. You'll find the full list of keyword abilities in your rulebook that will help guide you as you play and encounter new abilities. The third action option is to use an action ability. Some cards have an action ability. To use it, pay any necessary costs and then resolve the ability. For example, Grogu has an action ability that, at the cost of exhausting him, marked by the little arrow after action on his card, you can exhaust an enemy unit. Most leaders have a normal action ability that can be used each round, and also have an epic action. These function like normal action abilities, except that each epic action can only be used once per game. Each leader has an epic action that allows you to deploy them as a unit as long as you control enough resources. If the leader is defeated, they flip back to their horizontal side, and since the epic action was already used, you won't be able to deploy them again during the game, though you can still use their normal action ability. The last two actions, Take the Initiative and Pass, both involve doing nothing during the turn. If you choose to pass, your opponent takes their turn, and then you can decide if you want to pass again or perform a different action. If you take the initiative, claim the initiative counter, even if you already have it, and you are guaranteed to go first during the next round. However, once you take the initiative, you automatically pass for the rest of the action phase. Only one player can take the initiative each round. Once both of you have passed, through either taking the initiative or simply passing, the action phase ends immediately and you move to the regroup phase. There are 3 steps in the regroup phase: draw cards, resource a card, and ready cards. Both players complete these steps in order. In the first step, draw 2 cards from the top of your deck. This step is mandatory. If you get to the point where you don't have any cards left in your deck, every time that you are supposed to draw a card and are unable, your base will take 3 damage. In the second step, you may choose any 1 card from your hand and put it into play face down as a resource. This step is referred to as resourcing a card and is optional. However, you should do this each round until you have at least enough to use your leader's epic action. Finally, ready all of your exhausted cards, including your units, resources, and leaders. Once all cards are readied, play proceeds back to the action phase, and the player who currently has the initiative counter takes the first action. This cycle of gameplay repeats until one of you destroys your opponent's base. You are ready to dive in. As you go, more rules questions will come up. You can refer to the rulebook in your starter deck. The best way to learn, though, is to jump in, play some cards, and have some fun. If you need a starter kit, I have some available on my website, mastersetmadness.com. Have a great time playing Star Wars Unlimited, and we'll see you next time. Peace.